Magnetic Bots, a fun and fast-paced game that fits in your pocket where players program their actions. This can be played by 2 to 4 players under 20 minutes game time. A Mint Tine Game brought to you by Jaire F. Orobia, crafted with the Game Crafter for the Mint Tine Challenge. Over the course of 3 phases in 3 rounds, players will try to move their bots through the land spaces and onto the ship tin by programming cards with all sorts of actions but often involve moving towards or away from the ship tin or moving the land spaces. Before those lands crumble and fall, a player that has most of their bots inside the ship tin wins. To set up, place the ship tin at the center of the table and arrange 3 land spaces on each side of the tin. Each player selects a color, takes the bots of that color, and places a bot on both the land spaces at the ends of the row. Randomly place all the cards in a 4x3 grid for easy reach of players. Then, randomly determine a starting player and give that player the first player token. Let's say the black player has the black bots, the blue player owns the blue bots, the purple player has the purple bots, and the red player owns the red bots. The game has 3 simple phases to be followed in order. First is the program phase where players choose what cards they are going to play. Next is the magnet phase where players resolve the cards' effects. And lastly, the refresh phase where the lands crumble and fall and players prepare for the next round. To begin the play in the program phase, starting with the first player and going clockwise, each player selects and takes a card from the grid and places it in front of them in order. First selection will be their first play on the next phase, then second selection will be their next play, and the third selection will be their last play. All players must have 3 cards in front of them. Next phase is the magnet phase. In this phase, players is required to resolve the card's effects by doing its given actions. For example, black player has the first player token, so he will follow the effect of his first selected card, which is the jump card. The jump card lets you move a chosen bot 2 spaces forward or backward. In this instance, black player chose one of his bots to jump forward. It's now the blue player's turn. His first selected card was the attract card. This card lets you point one of your bots to be the source bot or source of magnetism. Then, choose another bot to move 1 space closer to your source bot, regardless of their distances. So the blue player points at his bot from the left as the source bot. Then he chooses his bot from the right to move 1 space closer to his source bot. On the red player's turn, he will resolve his switch card. The switch card lets you switch places to chosen bots. So in this example, he chooses his bot to switch place with the black player's bot. The purple player will now resolve her land flux card. This card lets you switch place to chosen land spaces, including the bots on it if there is any bot on it. The purple player chooses this land space to switch place to the land space beside the ship tin, so she will also move the bots on those lands. It's the black player's turn again to resolve his second selected card. The connect card lets you choose a land space with 2 or more bots on it, then move the 2 bots on the chosen land 1 space forward or backward. Take note, if there is no land space with 2 or more bots on it, you will not resolve its effect. On the blue player's turn, he resolves the Cog's Wrench card, which lets you move a bot to a land space beside the ship tin. So the blue player can move his bot to this land or this land, and he chose to move it here. The red player resolves his Fluctuate card. This card lets you move a chosen bot on a land space of the other side of the ship tin, parallel to its number of spaces. Since he chose his own bot, he will move it to the other side parallel to where it was from. The purple player's second selected card was the Knockdown card, so she will lay down a chosen bot, indicating that it cannot be moved by any card's effects until the next turn of its owner. On his last turn for this round, the black player resolves the Repel card. This lets you point one of your bots as your source bot. Then, choose a bot of any player to move 1 space away from your source bot, regardless of their distances. The black player pointed at one of his bot as the source bot, then chose his other bot to move 1 space away from it. On the blue player's last play in this round, he resolves the Super Magnet card, which lets him choose a land space with 1 or more bots, then move all the bots on that chosen land 1 space forward or backward. He moves 1 space all the bots on this land, so all of that bots are now safe. Also, take note that the blue player's knockdown bot will not yet stand because it is not yet his turn. The red player chooses to resolve his super pole card. The ship tin will be the source of magnetism, so he must move all the bots one space towards the ship tin. Since the blue bot is knocked down, it will not be moved. And for the last play in this phase, the purple player resolves the super repel card, so she must move all the bots one space away from the ship tin, if possible. This ends the magnet phase. Take note, it is required for players to resolve their card's effects even if it plays against them, except for the super pole card. The last phase is the refresh phase. In this phase, the lands started to fall, so remove the land spaces on each end of the row, including the bots on those lands. Be careful, a player is eliminated if all of that player's bots fell with the fallen land spaces. In this phase, you are also going to pass the first player token to the next player clockwise. Then, arrange the cards in the grid again in preparation for the next round of program phase, magnet phase, and refresh phase. Repeat all these 3 phases until one or no bots remain on the land space, or if there are no more land spaces. This ends the game. At the end of the game, a player that has most of their bots inside the ship tin is the winner. Now for a final note. Bots in the ship tin are already safe, so they cannot be moved anymore by any card's effects. And that's how we play Magnetic Bots, available at the Game Crafter site. Visit us and have fun!